about two things in my speech. First, how are people going to process information, or what kind of information is going to be existent on both sides of the house? Second of all, why the right to know is extremely important. Firstly, how people react to it. So on government side, they talked about how, well, people in general are stupid, media lazy, they don't really do those kind of, like, they have biases and like discrimination exacerbates. The crucial problem is they didn't really give us a clear after plan on how that's really going to be solved, how it's going to be better. Because recognized in Gov's world, people are still going, they're probably going to get information, probably people like bloggers or right-wing populist groups who want to spread the information that immigrants or criminals are still going to exist. So look at the comparative. We say that, okay, media aren't perfect, but on the comparative, they have more accountability, they at least care about their reputation, they don't want to be labeled as fake news, right? But these bloggers probably don't give a fuck about these kind of things. So on their side of the house, there's not going to be any media to point out that these bloggers are wrong, but people are going to get information from Twitter and say, hey, this is from there. For example, if the mass shooting in America, even though it was a white person who did it, probably on their side of the house, these populist groups are going to say it's a Muslim person who came from Syria who's a terrorist, right? And that's going to be the permanent fact in society, and there's no correcting system, right? So if we look on the comparative, yes, media isn't perfect, but on their side of the house, it's even worse, right? Completely wrong information without no accountability are going to be permanent facts inside society. We don't think that's good. Second of all, why the right to know is important, right? We talked about how it's not enough with statistics, simply because, first of all, like, people don't really care about it. They want, like, what the stories that there has to be the identity for people to relate. But we also talked about how simply it just doesn't come up in statistics, right? For example, police brutality will just be seen as how many missed shots there was police, but the idea or concept of race is completely ignored. The number of hate crimes will just be the number of hate crimes. It won't show the tendency of the rise of white supremacy inside the United States, because that bases on the identity of individuals, identity of the perpetrator, right? So that's a good, so we think that statistics are simply not enough to show what's actually happening, right? But then what did Gov say? They said, but people can't digest the information properly because they tend to be irrational or whatnot, right? We think the main premise coming from Gov is that people have to be logical to have a proper discourse, or that's the only and right way to create change in society. We say that's not necessarily true, right? We think, for example, criminal justice system or laws are based on our morality. It's based on what we think is right and wrong, or what the degree of how bad that crime is, right? So the sense of, hey, isn't that wrong? You don't need to logically think about law professors or whatnot. Just that sense of, hey, it's wrong, or maybe we need to rethink about the juvenile crime, or hey, maybe the jury system has some kind of change. That kind of, it could be just feeling of sadness, it could be anger, it could be rage. We think those are the things that actually construct the morality inside, and we think as a democracy, we need those that's the fundamental basis of how we should actually incarcerate some people, or how policy should be made, right? And we talked about how this was extremely effective in, like, about body cameras, right? Like, probably on their side of the house, Black Lives Matter movement would have not even happened, and they wouldn't even shed light to the problem of these kind of things, right? And our side of the house, maybe there was some kind of perpetuation of black people, maybe they're criminals and whatnot, but we were able to shed the light to that problem of police are biased, and maybe the black people are wrongly convicted in the first place, and that's why there's that kind of norm in society, right? We shed that light. In government's world, the information will be highly, like, only people in power will have that, right? There won't be any change, and it could be easily abused by people who have their own interests, people who have their own biases and whatnot, right? And the powerful people will remain powerful. They will dictate the system and the information and morality in society. We don't think that's democracy. For those reasons, we're very happy to oppose.